Hey everyone, welcome back to Playcast with another episode of Your Turn, and this week is another Pokemon-themed week, which is actually intentional, because this time I'm gonna probably not be able to rant for like 40 plus minutes of stupid crap that Pokemon does. I don't even know why I rant that much. There's a chunk in the dead center of Pokemon's franchise I didn't even touch. I don't know why I have so much I can just dig into it. It's just weird. It is a bizarre thing. It's like me being a specialist of female martial arts and I have no idea what martial arts even does. I see it sometimes from Jackie Chan movies. That's basically it. That's just how I am. But for some reason, I am a specialist. Okay. But anyway, yes, we have some Pokemon stuff coming up. We're going to go ahead and talk about that. And, a couple other extra things going on, hopefully, that we can kind of get covered. We could go ahead and start on that. Not Sony, Pokemon. We're just going to skip over that. They're just ready for the next part, because that way we keep this place, to a minimum of 15 minutes. Pokemon has had people kind of poking around on their YouTube channel and found out there's a couple hidden videos. That usually hints at a Pokemon presentation that's coming, right? Now, some people are like, well, we don't know. It could easily be like, promos and accolades for Scarlet and Violet and stuff. They could easily. But the timing is right, and for the most part, it usually indicates a Pokemon Direct.
So is it this November that they're hinting at?
No, it's actually going to be, I think, August 8th or 9th. They're going to be showing off a presentation. So basically a Pokemon Direct. And talking about what's going to be happening here in the fall season and maybe into next year.
Oh, okay.
Right? Very similar timing as every other Pokemon Direct. Very similar presentations. Very similar way that we've discovered it on multiple occasions. Like it's been a thing that has happened multiple times before. And
this is going to be a mobile app, right? Pokemon Talk. Go and talk to people.
Go and talk to your Pokemon.
So nobody touches it.
Well, you got to think, like a good portion of these Pokemon Directs. Let's be real. Most of these Pokemon Directs, even from the get-go, they drag ass. They drag a lot of ass, and then they announce some stuff that's mobile. It's almost always, they announce, our secret characters are coming. Do you guys like Deoxys? Well, he's playable in Pokemon Unite. Blah blah blah. Here's Pokemon Masters EX. Blah blah blah. They will do that because they've always done it. It would be weird for them not to now.
Yeah. But everybody's waiting for the fresh meat.
Yeah.
The big one.
So let's go ahead and kind of look at what our obvious expectations are. Obviously, they're going to cover the DLC, right? For the most part, I'm not too thrilled with the DLC, even though I'm just going to wait for the DLC to be complete so I can get a complete edition version of that game. That way I don't have to buy the game twice.
What did they do with the older ones?
Sword and Shield, yes.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly, the Japanese versions of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl on the Switch got a reprint that has at least the day one details in it and stuff, which is great. That means I could actually get into my box legendary.
Okay.
I would actually import just on that premise alone. But that means that we might be getting a reprint here too, so here's hoping for that. But I'm not holding my
Nintendo hates us.
It's Pokemon that's involved in that one. That one's more on them.
Oh yeah, true.
But Nintendo hates me because they don't release an F-Zero. See? It still happens. I'm hated on both fronts, man. I'm just hated on both fronts. But so we obviously gonna get some details on that. Another obvious thing is they're probably going to be announcing all the weird updates they're going to have for Pokemon Sleep. They're going to probably go, yeah, it's been a very successful app. And then they're going to announce stuff for Unite. They're going to announce stuff for Masters EX. They're going to announce stuff for a variety of weird little things. They're going to be probably even going to cover a little bit on Detective Pikachu, because that was just recently announced on the recent Nintendo Direct. They'll probably go on to details about the story and stuff too. Those are all very obvious ones, right? There's none of this was prediction. We all know what's probably going to happen. This has been like the de facto routine that they do, right? Yeah. You can all agree on that. Even people who hate Pokemon are like, yeah, that's fair, but yeah, yep, okay. So let's get into the weird nitty gritty that people are predicting, because we are in the era in which the next quote unquote generation of stuff that gets released, the next phase of stuff that gets released before a new generation comes to pass. It's almost always happens. There's been maybe 1 or 2 times that has never happened. We'd have either remakes, or we would have a mass load of an unload of spin-offs. So like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and Pokemon Rumble and Pokemon, like they just unload that shit on us, right? It always happens in waves. They release a core franchise, then they release the cards based on that core franchise, then they release a shit ton of stuff on that, and then they go into the next generation. And most of the time it always comes with a remake. So we've had the interim between, what was it, Gen 5? Like Black and White and
there's like one wedged in between, and then the Gen 6, and then one in between.
Yeah. So this next generation, everyone's expecting to be Black and White, right? Everyone's already kind of expecting it might be another kind of regurgitation of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Basically, just a asset vomit right back up on that plate, and here you go, you got it. Now that may very well happen. Let's all be real. That's a very safe bet. Like that's like saying I predict the next number one after 1 is 2. I bet my money on almost basically going to be that.
Yeah.
But there has been a guy that has been out on like Twitter and other social medias and stuff like that. A guy that kind of goes by Riddler Q. Now, I don't do much research, and I had to just research who this dude was because like my feed on YouTube just exploded for some reason of nothing but Pokemon, and oddly enough, Five Nights at Freddy's. It got a little weird. But this, like, every video was talking about this guy called Riddler Q. And he's like, he's hinting at this and this. It's going to be the biggest blah, blah, blah. And this going off, right? So, basically, Riddler Q has a notorious track record. An notorious track record of being able to tease what's happening in Sword and Shield, in Pokemon Legends Arceus, the remakes of Diamond and Pearl, and Scarlet and Violet. And he has hinted in weird, like, abstract ways that, looking back, now makes a hell of a lot of sense. Like, one of the ones, I think, from what one guy used, is he talked about painting trees and stuff like that, and like, what? And all that. Turns out it's one of the Pokemon that's a poison type that paints trees with berries from Scarlet and Violet.
Oh, okay.
They're like, looking back, like, oh, that makes more sense. So he knew this shit like a year in advance, basically.
Yeah.
And he's already teasing Black and White, but in a way that's basically saying that Legends Arceus was the past, and Scarlet and Violet was the present that was tucked between past and future, which is technically what that game's whole story was. Is Scarlet had the past figures and the Violet had the future figures, and it was all kind of intertwined. And he goes, the next generation, the future? Question mark, whatever. So basically, he's hinting that there may be a Legend style game, maybe. Right? A Legend style game that's tossing us far into the future, since the last one did it to the past, is kind of like a whole collective thing. And on top of that, with Scarlet and Violet and Legends Arceus being very timey-wimey themed, and then your Black and White, which is also based off of past and present, or past and future, as a whole dynamic in their whole generation, they're saying that maybe Kyurem is going into the future. And on top of that, we are going to be seeing not just remakes or remasters of Black and White or Black and White 2, but we're going to be seeing more or less a Black and White 3, essentially, from what people are saying that are breaking down what Riddler Q is saying.
Oh, okay.
Basically. So that's a whole lot of unpacking to do with that. So basically, I've talked enough right now. What do you think about all what I just said? Like, without even like sitting and mulling it over for a bit. Like, what do you think about that?
It's all wrong. Thank you for listening. No.
Thank you for listening.
Well, the thing about Pokemon is that it's either like we're always usually wrong about predictions.
For the record, we have been way the fuck off. We've either been not necessarily right on the money, but right enough to be like, you know, treated like in the know. But we really like it was like it's obvious if you look. But then there's times where like, what if that's the case? You know, and it was theory. It was our theory, but the theory was way off. It's okay. That's a theory. I'm okay with being wrong when it's just a stupid ass theory, but I almost felt like it would have been the whole DLC as the expansion / standalone game. Like I almost was willing to bet money on it because it sounded like such a toxic Pokemon move, but I guess I was wrong. I guess Pokemon's still gonna not do anything. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Am I glad that I'm wrong? I don't know. My pride's been crushed, but at the same time saved. It's weird.
Well, because like I remember seeing the people talk about like predictions and like, oh, it'll be over in India or something like that, and then
oh yeah, some of that. Well, there's been a pattern since I think Black and White. I think, from my understanding,
well, here's the thing,
Diamond and Pearl was supposed to be like their quote unquote final, what they originally planned, but Pokemon got so huge they just kind of like, all right, let's do a new thing. And ever since like Black and White, they've been kind of hinting what other plans they had in the future that haven't really been touched. So when Scarlet and Violet came out, people are just piecing weird shit together, which it might not even have. Like, think about it. The Diamond and Pearl games that came out teased Scarlet and Violet because they changed the colors of flowers to Scarlet and Violet flowers in the starting zone. And nobody really like pieced that together. They're like, oh, it's there. And it was changed, but that nobody really understood why. And like kind of like tried to analyze like what if it means this and this, and they were like off on that, but then it turned out it was just because it was going to be the color names and stuff, and they have done that shit.
Well, I mean, it makes sense when we look back, but every time we go forward, it's always been inaccurate.
It's really like hindsight is 20/20, bro. Like it really is like one of those situations.
I remember when they were like, oh, the next one's gonna be in India and it takes place in Spain.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're saying it's going to be India again this time because, or no, not India, Australia now this time.
Okay.
Which I don't know. Like, one of my problems with Pokemon nowadays is that since they've gone to this new regional focus influence, based on whatever region they're kind of loosely basing these regions on, they hyper focus on what exists in that world. You know, like there's no buffalo in some of these regions, but they added buffalo in those regions. You know, and like for instance, they're so I'm fine.
Fish, they're lack of aquatic Pokemon, so they what was it aquatic and flying. We had like almost no aquatic or flying type in Black and White because. Well,
Gen 3 added so many damn fish. Why did we need that much?
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
Because, like, they needed it... What was it? I can't remember what it was, but basically we just had... It was just either bass and seagulls, and that was, like, the majority of the fish in New York. Yeah. And they're like, shit, we gotta add more... shit to it.
And the thing is, I think they hyper focus on a lot of that now. And then they're like, oh, these characters come original. When you think about it, it's influenced by this. I'm fine with a couple Pokemon being influenced by the region they're basing stuff on. I'm really fine with that. In fact, I welcome it. But I feel like they kind of hyper focus so much on that you kind of lose the creativity of like being able to have certain Pokemon kind of interact with one another originally. That you see fundamentally in like stuff like Pokemon Snap, which I feel really bad that game never took off enough that we got more iterations up till now. You know what I mean? Like there should have been more, but it is what it is. I'm sad by that, but whatever. But it's we know that Black and White's coming.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's been out of everything, the same similarity appeals. Black and White's coming. Well, how is Black and White coming is completely different though.
Pokemon Go. Yeah. Thanks for watching the direct. Right?
Pokemon Go Black and White. Yep. And that'll be it.
Bye, suckers. Right.
So,
but yeah, we've always been wrong. So.
No, we haven't really. Okay, we were wrong on the like more drastic shit, but like the more like safe stuff, we've been kind of right.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
So like us betting money that's going to be Black and White themed, that's we're gonna be right on that.
Yeah.
Right. But what I'm thinking about, like Riddler Q's, like people's analysis and stuff. Supposedly, one of the teases is that a coughing is gonna have a regional variant that's gonna be plant and water based, as opposed. And so somebody's like, what if it's a watermelon? You know, which. It's stupid to say this, but it kind of makes sense how coughing would be a giant floating ball if it was used to be filled with water and just kind of got gutted out because it rotted and became poison type. Like, it makes sense in that aspect, but I'm like, but also watermelon, what the hell? You know? Like,
it's in Florida.
but no, like, I could see, like, so this black and white remake, from my, like, there's been a torn understanding with this Ridley Q stuff. It's gonna either be a remaster of 1 and 2 black and white, like unanimous all the way through, like a complete remaster with some like sprite work and all that, which is gonna be a completely different thing that Pokemon has never done before, which kind of catches me by surprise, because that would be, that sounds like an easier thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
And other people are saying that black and white will become a black and white 3.
Oh, okay.
Like, not really called black and white 3, but kind of like a complete repurposing of black and white, that it's basically a brand new game. Like a black and white 3, if you will.
Okay.
So, and they're saying it might be in the far future for black and white, along with Legends Kyurem being in the past. So, when Kyurem used to be a fully forged dragon back then, and then in the future when all 3 of them are split and we're trying to forge them again now. So I can actually see that happening, being a past thing with Pokemon Legends, or they can even flip that shit around. What if Pokemon Black and White 3 is in the past and Kyurem was far into the future? That fundamentally could be interesting, but I don't think Pokemon's going to be brave enough to do that. But I do think, like, the pattern, what they're saying is there's going to be 2 black and white games. One's coming in the late of this year, and the other one's coming kind of like March. And I honestly believe that what's going to happen is black and white. All of what's coming is black and white themed. Okay, all of it. I think we're going to get something like Legends. I hope we do get another Legends. It was actually pretty fun. I hope they kind of refine some of the controls and stuff. But I also think that I genuinely think we're just going to get a remake of Black and White 1, basically. And we might get, like, teases like DLC that kind of covers 2, or something to that point.
Okay.
You know, I feel like that's more of what's going to happen. But I would kill for a remaster of 1 and 2 together like that. Like, just not even, like, but I'm seeing a Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl remake style.
Oh, okay.
The blackest black and whitest white.
Gotcha.
Like, basically Pokemon whitest white, but Pokemon blackest black. And that's it, really.
Okay.
Like, but at the same time, I don't know. This might be the first time I actually get to play the game, because I stopped at Hoenn. I stopped at Hoenn. So I haven't played Sinnoh. I haven't played Hoenn. I haven't played. Fuck, what was the other one? X and Y. After that,
Yeah.
I don't know X and Y. I didn't really play X and Y either.
Really?
Yeah.
X and Y was my favorite.
and then I got back into it when all the other ones started being crap. It's like, ooh, ew. Which is weird, because honestly, like I've said before, Scarlet and Violet, outside the weird mechanical issues, is better than Sword and Shield. I'm starting to believe that Sword and Shield is probably the lowest point they're gonna have. I think they're I think they're better understanding their HD creativity, and I think they're gonna be able to do better as time moves on with the Pokemon franchise.
Okay.
So, Pokemon Ketchup and Mustard, it's probably gonna be a hell of a lot better. Yeah. Or we could all just wait for Pokemon
Well,
Horseradish.
they always like to dazzle us with one hand and then do the trick with the other hand.
Yeah,
So.
they do that, but it seems to have worked all the way up until now. You know what I mean? Like, they've done that with Black and White. They're like, oh, that's good. And they did that with the Mega Evolutions. Like, oh, that's kind of neat. But then, like, X and Y was, like, kind of deemed kind of poorly from some people, I guess. Because reasons, and then they realized to appreciate that the mega evolutions were actually pretty dope because the Z moves in Sun and Moon was garbage, like stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of talk, a lot of that, but I do think everything's going to be black and white.
Okay.
Is there anything that you kind of hope for or predict from all of this?
Nah, not really. I mean, black and white is just nice, mostly because the waifus are there. So Kevin knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, Kevin, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Maybe you got them on some Gacha mobile from last week.
No, they're dead. They're all dying.
So okay, I think what Riddler Coup is saying kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I just think a lot of people understanding him is to a very big extreme. I think.
Well, isn't he so vague that he's not wrong? So it's like,
yeah,
it could be like
it could be. I think when you look at Occam's razor, the most like understandable things, like yeah, I do think black and white's gonna come. Mm-hmm. I do think it's gonna be our remakes. I do think we might get a subset, kind of like a Pokemon Legends style game. I feel like that's the 3 that's gonna happen.
Plus, what about the stuff that he's been wrong about too, though?
Huh? Riddler Coup? Nobody's really said anything about how he's been wrong about something, but then there's people looking back and go, oh, he actually didn't mean that then. Because he hasn't come out and goes, that's not what I meant. He's never said anything like that.
Okay.
So there's never been a time where his ego's gotten in the way to kind of out him.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm pretty sure that would cause problems. Because if he was like out there for like internet fame, and he's like, no, that's not what I meant. I really meant this when the characters go like. Then when people look back, go, oh, you know what? That made more sense now. You know, like now that more people discovered more parts of the game and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like I really don't know because there's stuff that people discover a year and a half after the game releases and go, oh, that's what he meant. So there's other things that people are like, he's wrong, and then like 3 weeks later they're like, actually no, this is probably what he meant. Oh, that makes sense, you know. And there's all that. So no, I think that's the situation with that. But Occam's Razor, I believe, is going to be Pokemon Black and White remakes and a Legends Kyurem.
Okay. And
it seems like that's kind of a synonymous agreement across them. How they're going to approach it is completely different, but I think it's going to be basically what we've already experienced before on the Switch, just more of it again.
Scarlet and Violet 2, fuck you. And everybody's like, what?
Yeah. What's going on? That's absurd. All right, so we're going to go into a segue and get into our Sony Q leaks. Oh, this is painful.
Well, it's not. Let's just say it's an Android device.
It's an Android.
There were like there's leaks of it online too, but it was just this one guy. He's like, oh yeah, I got a hold of it, and he's like playing with it, and it's technically just a tablet.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what did you guys expect? Like,
yeah, everyone was like kind of upset. Like, I was like, no, what the? It was supposed to kill the Switch. Like, okay, when they announced it, the majority of the world said why. When it leaked and kind of confirmed it, everybody just said why, but louder. Like, how did Sony just like look at it and go, wow, that was a lot of negative. We should probably continue this project. Like, do you need to bleed money so you could get like government kickbacks or something like that?
I'm just
like,
wondering what the hell they were thinking.
Is that why you moved to California? So you could just fail at everything all the time, but as long as you hit your ESG points, you get like billions of dollars back? Like, is that how that works now?
Screw it. This is test our money. Right?
Basically,
money.
like what the hell's going on? Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't get to see too much on it. I just like as soon as I did some research, I'm like, it just sounds like a tablet. Like it's of no real value or importance to me, you know.
Well, they could have just I don't know anything anymore. At the very least, like, I'm iffy. Like, it's cool and all. Like, I would like to get one because I really like my handhelds, but at the same time, like,
it's Sony a streaming handheld too, though.
I know, but
that's so stupid.
And they suck at supporting their peripherals, so I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna touch it.
Yeah, no, like unless it's like really dedicated system. Even the Vita was really hard to have them support it. They like released it. I even remember everybody like championing it and like, oh, it's gonna be the next thing, and then like they released it and like even Sony didn't release any commercials. Like they're like, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, launch. Crickets.
From
what
what
the
I
hell?
heard, I'll have to look it up too. But from what I heard, Sony America hated the Vita because Japan was on board for it, but Sony America hated it.
Which is weird. Yeah. Because Sony America was all brand by that time. They could sell a shoe with Sony's logo on it and people would just buy it.
Yeah.
Like that was the most bizarre because it was at the prime time. The PSP was garbage. And people are like, oh yeah, this disc keep popping out, but it's a Sony game, so it's already better than Nintendo for no particular reason whatsoever. And then they wouldn't even care. They wouldn't even care. As long as it had Sony's brand on it, like, oh my god, it's my Final Fantasy machines, eat it, Nintendo, you're so kiddie, blah, blah, blah. And now Sony's the one censoring the crap out of your waifus. Ouch. That is just so weird, isn't it?
Whatever, I gotta stick a thumb in their eye.
So... is there anything else you want to talk about that? Because I don't have much on that. Like, I don't have much of conversation on that at all.
No, that's about it. Because it's... it just baffles me to be like, what were they thinking?
So I am going to ask the community, though. If you guys want us to, we can sacrifice some financial money and buy one of these things and do a review. If you want that, let us know. And we will drag through the painful mud and do it. Mostly it's going to be Ghost because I ain't going to touch that thing. I like to have my hands cancer-free, and he's already died once.
Yes.
So.
Can't catch cancer twice, right?
Right? Nah? I don't know. Like, we've had biolabs that prove otherwise. Anyway. Gotta get away from the politics before they censor us again. Yeah. You know, Sony Q. Gonna be garbage. I almost predicted 110%. Like, that's the safe bet. Watch me actually be right of that. All the Pokemon crap? No. It's gonna be like Pokemon Off-White. Pokemon Chantilly Lace. And it's really gonna just be like a decorative game where you have to just decorate, like, it's like Animal Crossing, but everyone just says their own name all the time. And it's just, when we're gonna be like, wow, I don't know how we're gonna recover from that. But I'm gonna be right on this part. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and stop right here, though. You know, so I want to thank you all for listening in, and as always, if you like our content and want us to produce more, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed, and if you like it really good, share it with your friends, maybe even your grandma, and see what her opinion is on the Sony Q. She's gonna probably say it's bitch ass. So you know, word up to you, grandma. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys later, and as always,
we will see you on the other side.
Hey everyone, this is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.